On the back straightaway into turn number 3, thick thin, still 3 wide, Brandon Feeney, high, wide, and handsome. He's going to go to the outside and get past Camillo.
I don't mean to be two birds and bees with you folks, but this is how cautions are born.
All right, welcome back to Ladies of Motorsports episode number 2 with my beautiful co-host Jennifer Hatch. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Doing great. So you had quite a busy weekend up at the Sauble Beach Speedway, and did you go up to the tent and trailer park to show Pops McDonald what was going on, or?
No, remember you said you had to behave this weekend, so we couldn't. I didn't get him in any trouble this weekend.
Well, see, normally when people tell you have to behave, that's usually your sign to not behave, and that's how I deal with it anyway. But
I didn't once just say that I behaved. I said I didn't get Pops in trouble.
I guess that's fair. You're not getting anyone else in trouble. You get yourself in trouble enough, you don't have to add to it.
That's correct.
So you had a busy speed up there with the Great Lakes Legends, I think mixed with the Ontario Legend Series, and then you had the 2-speed Nationals. And you were the race director for both events?
Yeah, well, it was combined. So Saturday was Great Lakes Legends actual event. And then the 2-speed Nationals was actually an Ontario Legends event. So, but we co-run, when we are together, we co-run it, and it works really well. There's extra sets of eyes, especially with the choose, and especially with 34 cars on Saturday, 36 cars on Sunday. It's a lot of cars to watch who's hitting who, and who got into who, and yeah, it's a lot.
Well, and so I flagged at Peterborough for the first time. So I'm sitting there trying to watch these bump and bang and kind of being a little more aggressive and stuff like that. It is a lot to watch, especially just like bone stocks. And it's like, if you're down on the track, it's on the same angle, but you bring back up the choose cone and stuff like that. This used to be nobody paid attention after you chose. So if you got to the back straightaway and the inside line was 6 cars longer, you just jump to the high side anyway, and no one would notice because they'd just go green.
Yeah, and that's part of what we do. Whoever's turn it is to kind of watch the choose. Usually I do that. So we call it out, and I quickly write it down, and then as they come back around for the white flag, I double check that the outside row is in fact everybody that chose it, and that there's nobody sneaking in there.
See, that ruins all half my fun when I drove legend cars, because I could get away with that because I was just far enough back that nobody really cared.
No, we would catch you.
I guess I have to do that with Ontario Legends, not when you're in charge.
Possibly.
So when you were running the show and stuff like that, did you have any big exciting moments? Did you what all went on there?
No, I mean, there's just a lot of cars, right? 34 cars on Saturday, 36 cars on Sunday. I mean, Sunday we sent 10 cars, 12 cars didn't. Yeah, so 12 cars didn't make the show. And it was just such a great weekend. We honestly, I drove home just so proud of everybody, and so proud of what we've accomplished between the Ontario Legend Series and the Great Lakes Legend Series. This is unheard of. And then you got Corey McAllister and Joe Jr. and Scotty McQueen and 2-speed, and I think we gave, I don't even know, honestly, it was just such a blur by the end of the night. It was a lot. There were so many prizes we had to sort out. I mean, at midnight, I'm still sorting out prizes and handing out money. And people took, there was like so many people took home money and so many people took home prizes. And I think we were at like $10,000 worth of stuff. Like it was just crazy.
And that's awesome for the racers. And it's a great initiative that Corey started. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that like I hope this becomes like an annual thing. And I liked how the process was done. It wasn't this is what I think we should do. It's let the fans decide and the drivers decide everything on social media. And like
Yeah. I was on Stickers and Scuffs and we talked about it. And I said, like, that night we went to bed and I was conceited that Hot Rods were getting it. And I was sad, but at the same time, good for the Hot Rods. I love that division too. And I have a lot of people in that division that I love. And so I was okay with that. Like, I love watching them and I understand the excitement for the Hot Rod series. So I went to bed conceited that we had lost, and I woke up and we had actually won and won by quite a few. So I don't know if we're just all late night dwellers or what was happening there, or who got on and invited their whole baseball team, hockey team. I don't know what happened. Carrie German one time did a huge solid for me with her dance people. So like, it just depends on who got people doing what. And like I said, it was pretty cool to wake up and it be the Legend Series, and then to get voted to one of my favorite tracks, Sobel. So that it was just awesome. And I want to thank the Reinhardts. They had me out at their place, and the Herniacs and Sullivan and everybody like that. Like, I didn't cook all weekend and I ate like amazing. I had a beautiful, nice, comfy bed. I had a great shower. Reinhardt's took such good care of me and my son Zach. And yeah, my heart's full for sure. What a great weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went up and stayed with CGC the week before you went up, and freaking Steve was great host, stuff like that. Freaking nice little place he's got there. I picked up some like the IGA roasted chickens because I'm cheap and I like plain food. So
Yeah.
but so what are you looking forward to doing this weekend?
Hey, me and Big Booty Judy. You said last week you should do the podcast from 4 different locations, and I am going to. So I won't tell you where the next week's location will be, but it'll be something fun. So this week I'm in Big Booty Judy, and so we have some maintenance to do this week, and we will head to the racetrack on Friday. Saturday night I'm going to see Cody Johnson, and Sunday night I have a date for the drive-in.
Ooh, fancy.
Like, not a date, but like some of us are going to the drive-in.
Are you going to see Deadpool Wolverine?
No, I'm hoping that Twister is still in the drive-in. I don't know though. I didn't have time. It was a crazy day at work today, but I didn't have time to look today. But I'm hoping that Twister is still a drive-in. If not, I don't think we're going, because that was kind of the whole purpose of going. But we're gonna head out and see Twister. A whole bunch of us, maybe.
I forgot Twisters was back, and it was just one of those things that I don't watch a lot of movies. Usually we're too busy with race cars and etc. And yeah, but so if you're paying,
I haven't been to that drive-in. Well, I think I had been to that drive-in quite a long time ago, a few years ago, and we ended up falling asleep in the back of a transport truck, and we missed both the movies. Just had a good nap though, so that was good. And then I was back a couple times, not last summer, maybe the summer before, and I took the hot dog cart. So I took the hot dog cart to, something had gone down in his kitchen, so he asked if I would be there to sell food, and so I did that for quite a few weekends, and that was actually pretty profitable, being out of the drive-in.
So if you're paying attention to what I'm doing this weekend, so I'll be at Sutton Fair,
Okay.
announcing the demolition derbies and the demo cross and stuff like that at like I said, Sutton Fair with Impact Motorsports Friday and Saturday. And then I think I'm zooming right from Sutton to Montreal Saturday night to pit crew for the 88 of Simon Charbonneau. So it's going to be a busy weekend.
Is that Trois-Rivières? Like Trois-Rivières?
Three Rivers, yeah.
Three Rivers. Okay, awesome. Well, that's a busy weekend.
I always stay busy.
I do too.
You're the only person that's probably busier than me in the racing community right now. But
I do not sit still. I mean, this is it. Well, and as I kind of so somebody said like about the podcast, they'd never watched a podcast. So while we were doing something, we put the podcast on. Oh, well, I was driving them home from Sawa, and Josie from Dan Russ Motorsports, and she's like, oh, like, let's watch the podcast. So we watched it, and I'm like, dang, I don't sit still well. Like, not even during a podcast can I sit still. Kind of forced to right now, so that's good.
I'm surprised you don't have the belts on, pull tight. Like, I can't move. I have to. But so, funny story before I end the intro here. So I'm at Sunset Speedway on Sunday, just kind of taking in, enjoying, talking to a couple Jomo media drivers and stuff like that. And then the funniest moment happens in front of me. Somebody gets ice cream for, I think it's their spouse. I don't know which way it was. A flavor the spouse doesn't like. Who is right there on the recipient? Nicole Givens to get ice cream.
Burner ice cream.
So she got ice cream. I think it was cotton candy or bubble gum or something like that. So I was joking around with the people. I'm like, "What? You guys watch the podcast and just get some ice cream for Nicole?" I'm like, "If that's the case, Nicole will always come on a podcast, just get free ice cream."
That's right.
So who knows? If you just come on here and request ice cream, maybe you get some the next week. I don't know how that works. But we're gonna invite our guests, the Howard sisters. And the best part is they get to race against each other for the PC 275 racing bonus for the ladies this week. Jesse's going for Nicole's last week bonus. And Kassy's going for, I guess, their bonus or her bonus, whichever. They're sisters. They'll fight over it.
Well, yeah, and she had sent me a message saying, "What happens if we end up in the same race? Because that doesn't seem super fair for Nicole or Kassy or whatever." And I said, "We'll figure it out."
Last lap, you might see one of the Howards going sideways from the other Howards. All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Feeney Call. We have returning guest Jessy Howard and new guest Kassy Howard. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. How about you, Jessy?
I'm good.
So, I think Jesse's more of the shy one of the two Howard sisters. I found that out last time having her.
I mean, it's pretty close. Depends on what we're doing. Yeah.
Well,
this could be a really hard interview trying to get them to say anything.
I feel like for me, maybe, but like, I feel like you guys talk all the time, especially because you guys race against each other every Friday night, pretty much when you're running. You got Big Booty Judy. Do you have like names for the two cars you guys run?
No. Well, Chris made a running joke that my car is my Rex, because my dad nicknamed me a T-Rex because I got like short arms and a big head.
Rex.
My car doesn't have a name, but my dad likes to call me Super Soft.
So you say the Rex thing. I have a kid at work that we called Rex because he walks around with his arms like this the entire time. If he's not holding onto like a broom or something like that, because he's just like when we need something clean, we bring him in for the day. But yeah, it's hilarious. But like we called him Rex, and now his parents call him Rex.
And Jessy, what did you say?
My car doesn't have a name, but my dad calls me Super Soft.
Super soft?
Yeah, because the amount of times I've been injured recently, and I complain about it.
So you're a softie. Okay. Yes, and we park beside each other, so we actually we legit hang out every Friday night, and we get up on the wall together and watch the King of the Hill, and yeah, so we hang out a lot now.
Here's a question for you guys: who's got the best trailer to watch the races while standing on it, Delaware?
I mean, me. Our trailer is kind of sketchy, but you can see. It's sketchy, but it works. Yeah.
It is sketchy. Me and Tracy and Rockwood and them were up there like not too long ago, and I was like this is
and then someone gets on the trailer, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, it is a bit sketchy, but Delaware is so tough to see at, so it is nice to get up a little bit higher for sure.
Yeah, I went to Delaware. I've been there twice. Once I was racing the Super Stock, and I sucked there because I brought Ducati gears, which were not close enough. And being on the wrong gear in a Super Stock, plus not knowing the track, did not help. And then the second time I went down just to kind of hang with the BT racing crew and Jessy after episode and stuff like that. And I don't want to say I didn't see a lot because I was just trying to see what Chris did for the day and stuff like that and how busy he was, which you ever want to see someone busy at the track. Miss Penny and Chris are super busy and keep a lot of races in there, including the Howard sisters. So I know you guys have help from your dad, but the Lawrence boys, I think, helped you a bunch. But yeah, you sit there and you try to watch the race, unless you're standing on pit wall or on one of the walls or something like that, you're not seeing more than like you're half the track like you would at most other tracks.
No, it's tough to see. And to the one day there when it was not that long ago, and I ended up into a bit of a wreck in practice when a guy was sideways, and I come in with my back tire like all mushed, and Zach's sitting inside watching it from race monitor. He's not even standing outside watching me go past. He's inside eating a hot dog on race monitor. He's like, no, you were fast. I'm like, thanks, buddy, but I crashed. And he didn't even know. So I'm like, look. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh my gosh. It's a hard track to see.
Yeah.
So you two sisters are obviously kind of competitive against each other. And like this week, you guys got to kind of compete. Jesse's competing for Nicole. Kassy's competing for you two. Do we see the bump and run if it's comes down to it, or?
I don't know. I found a way to pass her pretty cleanly, but she hasn't had to pass me too many times yet. But hopefully now she'll have the opportunity since we fixed her car. So yeah. And we should be in different heat races this week. Yeah. So
that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for you two to be in different heat races and me to be in a different heat race as well.
Yeah.
I've been landing in that stupid fast one, and I don't even know how. I every time I'm like, please don't make me be in the fast one. Please don't make me be in the fast one. Like I have no hope in that fast heat, and I always end up starting at the back of it. It drives me crazy.
You say no hope, but the way some of the Delaware races have gone lately, as long as you just avoid the first couple laps, you're going to be okay.
That does happen at Delaware as well. So you guys actually, Jessy, something just happened to your car. What happened? Like were you looking for a new subframe or something?
Oh, that was my traveling car. So my teal and
Okay.
orange automatic. We took it to practice for Steve McCaw's, I think, wife. I don't know if they're fully like married, but Dana is thinking about getting in, so she wanted to try it out. So we brought it out to Monday night practice. And she was like, okay, like she went out, she was scared. So she was like, okay, you get in, you take it out, like I'll watch you, and then I'll go out for the next round. And then it started to spit a little bit, but it wasn't like really slippery. But like you could get loose. And someone got loose in front of me, and I thought they were just slowing down, so I went on the inside of them. And then they cut down going into the corner, which bent my subframe and moved it over 2 inches. So
Dana didn't get.
No, I was the one in the car.
That sucks. Steve had sent me a picture earlier that night. She's like, and he said, Dana's wearing your Big Booty Judy shirt for good luck tonight. She's going to go out and practice a car. I didn't know whose car or anything. So that's really cool. I didn't know that. So did you ever find a subframe?
Yeah, we got 2 subframes thanks to Bob over at Reed's Automotive and then Andy's. And I welded some plates on and supported the whole thing. Took me a week to finally get it done. And then we put it in Friday and Saturday. So it's ready to go.
Okay. And I know I've seen some posts about you doing some welding and stuff. Is that kind of the trade you want to get into?
Yeah. So I'm going through school to be a welder manufacturer, hopefully to work at GD here in London. And yeah, so welding, I just love it. Anytime I can weld, I'm always like, yep, I'll be there.
So what school are you going to?
I go to Saunders right now. I'm a part of the SHSM program.
Okay, so you know my son Zach, obviously, because he helps me on my car. He is just finishing up his full program at North American Trade School to be a welder. It's a good, and he's got a great job that he's going into. He's already been there a couple months, and they're taking him full time as soon as he's willing to go over there. So so a big welding shop. And he's going to be going on the road. So it's not like he's going to be doing the same thing every day. He'll be doing some different stuff. So it's going to be a very lucrative job for him for sure.
Yeah.
See, that's a trade I wish I kind of learned a little better. because I got into automotive because I started racing and I kind of needed to learn how to fix my cars. So I turned that into a career. And then I start welding things and I'm like, man, I wish I freaking got my ticket welding and stuff like that because I wasn't gonna go back to school for the trades. I wasn't interested until basically I started racing and doing derbies and stuff like that. And it was like a job out of necessity.
Mhm. Well, I think Zach's gonna come out of there with, I don't know, at least 12 tickets, and he's running with a 97% average. So, I mean, he's doing really well, and like it's gonna pay off on his paycheck for sure, right? So, it's a great profession to be in, and I think being a chick doing it is super cool. I hate it. It terrifies me. See, he gets the welder out, I leave. I'm like, yep, no, don't. My dad was a welder when I was growing up, and all I remember is him coming home from the foundry where he worked with like big burns on his legs and in his boots where like the slag would come off and drop down in his boot, and he'd be like, or Zorbine Jr. or whatever that was. Remember that? You girls are probably too young for that. But anyways, and it was like this stuff that you put on burns, and that's all I can remember is that smell of that of that. And I'm like, nope, I'm out.
I
What's
remember
Kassy? She
Yeah, Cassie's with me. Like you bail.
even with the grinder. Yeah.
Oh, and zip cut, but the worst smell in the world besides rear end fluid. Ugh, horrible. Hate zip cut, hate rear end fluid.
the first time I was welding on a car, like one of my race cars, when I had like just a Princess Auto flux core welder, I didn't realize how fast polyester lights on fire. It lights up big.
I've
And
caught,
like
I've caught a couple things on fire.
That's
Myself
what
being one
Cassie's
of
for,
them.
you know, fires.
Yeah,
Right.
myself was one of them one time. That was kind of scary.
I feel like that's like initiation into like doing welding. You have to light yourself on fire at least once, just so you know what
Yeah,
it feels like.
I
Zach
was
is
actually, yeah, I was actually welding the scaffolding onto our trailer so we could have something to watch this year. And they were out cutting the grass, and I was like, I'll just get it done and over with. So I sat down, and I forgot to tie my hair back. So my hair was down, and then I smelled something burning. But I was like, it's probably nothing. It's probably just like the paint on the trailer or something. And then I was like, it didn't go away. So I lifted my helmet, and I looked down, and my hair was on fire at the bottom. So it's okay.
lesson learned.
So there's a safety tip for all the girls getting into welding: tie your hair back so you
Tie
don't
your
light
hair
yourself
back.
on fire.
That's right.
It's what was I doing? I think it was I was welding a transmission shifter cable on because the car had like 600,000. We couldn't get the parts, and he goes, I just need to get like a week out of this car. I'm like, well, it's not going to be great, but well, I forgot the co-op kid had cleaned everything with brake cleaner for me instead of just wire wheeling everything. So when I sparked it, the whole floor was full of brake clean, and it did like the whole. I'm like, that's pretty. So let's get back into your guys' racing and stuff like that a little bit. So why don't you guys each tell us like how long you've been racing for and like what some of like your goals for racing in the future are?
You
Oh,
go
you want
first.
me to go first? Okay. I started racing in 2016 with Chris. I was his first developmental driver. This year we decided to give him a little break from our cars, and we decided to run under KPH Motorsports. And then for future plans, I don't really know. We're building a V8 stock, and we might split the season next year in it. I think that's about it for my plans.
Yeah. So I started racing last year. Last year was my rookie year. And so since I only made the feature, I think it was 3 times last year. Coming into this year, my goal was you're gonna make the feature more than 3 times. And so far, knock on wood, we're better than that. We've made it every single week. Out of our heat race, I haven't seen the LCQ yet. So, and then as Kassy said, we're building a V8 stock for next year, but I don't know if I want to fully move up to it next year if I'm not comfortable in my bone stock going as fast as like top 5 cars yet. So we're probably going to do a couple races in the V8 stock next year, and then I'll move up fully in the next season.
So if you guys are sharing the car, what number is the car going to be?
Good question. We could always do a throwback to 31 like our dad's was, so
Rock, paper, scissors.
yeah.
Or you take the first number from one of you and the second number from the other one of you, and then put it together and make a whole new number.
Yeah. So
9.
29 because Kara's 53. So
Well, that or you, Cassie is quite capable of doing stickers, so just change it every other week. I'm just kidding. Rip it off, put it on. Rip it off, put it on.
That reminds me of who was it that was changing stickers on their cars at Delaware's like every single week for different drivers? Was it Miss Penny that was doing it?
probably her or Chris.
I think it's Miss Penny because she actually like has the fine attention to detail and stuff like that. Where I feel like Chris would just be done.
Yeah.
What? I don't even know where you're coming from with that, because Chris clearly has the fashion faux happening in that relationship. Have you not seen his lovely ducky hat that he wears? Like he's definitely into the details.
Yeah, ducky hat, captain hat, cowboy hat.
He's totally the one that he's definitely the fashionista in that relationship.
He's the trendsetter.
He also has an inflatable dinosaur costume.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I have a feeling we're going to see it at like one of the invitationals.
He wore it to the track. What was it? Last year or the year before? I can't remember. It was for a late model race. It was for a late model race, and he wore it to the track.
That's awesome.
Blown up and everything.
Chris is always an entertainer.
Yeah.
But
never a dull moment when you're hanging out with him.
so you guys, obviously, Jesse, I talked to you last year about how you like racing with people and stuff like that. So you were talking about possibly traveling maybe a little bit this year, and like you said, you have that travel car. Do you look at maybe at the end of the year? Are you guys going to travel to like, say like Velocity or Frosttoberfest or Colors or anything like that, or you don't know yet?
We don't fully know. We might try a couple, or at least one of the ones at Flamborough. I don't know if we can convince our dad to go all the way to Peterborough for a race. But yeah, we might try Flamborough. Get Kassy in the car since she tried it 2 years ago or something and she doesn't like it. So try it again. Make her do it again.
See, if you're coming to Peterborough, you just be like, just say Jenn's probably coming to Colors because, well, I think Jenn almost owns Colors at this point. But
yeah, in a long time. I've been going a long time.
But yeah, just be like, we're just going to want to hang out with Jenn, and if she's going, we want to go, and you may as well take a car at that point.
And Dad likes me. He'll be like, "Oh, okay. Let's make pretend taking care of you."
Yeah, you could just say that Jenn is your adult, and you'll be fine.
What trouble could we possibly get in?
Right?
So, not to take away from this, I was at Sunset one night, and it was me, Brock Baker on my late model, because he was my crew chief at the time. And then I was just going to sleep in my car, and Dan Price had his RV there. He goes, "Why sleep in your car when I have an RV right beside you?" I'm like, "Because it's your RV." And he goes, "You get the front bunk. Just don't wake me up when you get up." Dan wakes up the next morning, he's cooking breakfast. He goes, "How did I become a responsible adult in this situation?"
Knowing Dan, that's funny.
But
I
yeah.
would be responsible if I needed to be.
So, well, I said Dan was up making breakfast.
I feed everybody.
Yeah. So
you girls wouldn't starve.
You might not be able to say certain things that Uncle Jen did that day, though. Or not Uncle Jen, Aunt Jen.
Auntie Jen. Yeah.
But
last week I'm a lesbian, this week I'm a dude. Whatever.
We'll change it up each week.
Oh my God. I said that. It was your dad that said that. Thanks, Mike.
Did we ever find out what her name was?
No, nobody ever responded on what her name is.
I'm
gonna find out.
Yeah. So someone's gonna find out. We're gonna have to like buy a bunch of Flamberos just to figure it out. But I got my tickets still up in the cup. So what's your guys' race schedule look like for the rest of the year at Delaware? Like, because I really haven't been following Delaware's schedule too much because it's Fridays and I work till 6, so it's hard to get down to London at that time.
I think we have 6 more races.
We have 6.
6 to 5. 6 or 5. Because we
So-
just hit halfway and we have 12 races. So I thought it was more than that. I don't know. I just go week by week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at the schedule.
I don't-
We're racing.
Yeah, I don't even know actually.
Well, see, I
As
figured
no-
one of you would be
this Friday-
prepared.
That's all I know. I don't know anything past this weekend.
All right, so we'll have to get someone to post a schedule later, and that way people can come watch it. So, Kassy, you also have kind of a side venture in here that I want to talk into, and you make a bunch of like racing shirts and stuff like that for a bunch of people, including both of us up here on the top part of the screen. So what got you into doing that as well as being a racer yourself?
I think part of it is because I am a racer. So I did design my own shirts back. Oh gosh. When I first started, I had a shirt that had 59 on it, and then on the back it says, I know I race like a girl, try to keep up. So I made them for my family, and they said, I know she races like a girl, try to keep up. And then we got into putting like the cars and stuff on it like what, a couple years ago now? I can't remember, but I just wore them. Yeah. And then graphic design just kind of came as a second nature for me. So I'm like, I might as well just make them for other racers too, because they look decent.
Oh, I as you know, I've sold a ton of them. A ton. I have an order in, my third order going in. It's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Which was your favorite shirt to design? And you don't have to say Jenn because she's here.
But mine does say booty on it. Hello.
Big booty at that.
Other than Jenn's, I have to think of what ones I've done.
Steve's
I
are
haven't designed them. I kind of like mine this year, but that's because I'm biased. I don't design them, but my favorite ones other than Jenn have been like Steve McCaw's.
Yeah,
Mine.
Steve's. I like
And
Steve's.
like Colton Everingham's, and I don't know. I like them all.
and Steve is like straight up about it too. Like, cause I was like, hey dude, like I sold a whole bunch of shirts, but you outsold me by like double. And he's like, yeah, I know, right? And I said, but I'm not willing to die to do it. And he said,
Yeah.
me neither. So he's like really open about it and really honest about what happened, and yeah, like crazy that even happened, but so glad that his notoriety has like flown right through the roof, because of it, because nobody deserves it more than he does, and Dana too. What a great couple.
When he first he put an original order in of 50 shirts. He's like, that's it though. Like, that's all I need. I'm like, well, why don't you post it on Facebook? Because we had people at the top of the hill last year, like after that whole incident happened, asking us like where they could get a shirt too. And I'm like, just post it on Facebook, like to see how many you get. And like within 10 minutes, he already had like 60 comments.
Yeah. No, yeah, that was, and again, couldn't happen to better people, like just for so much support. I love it for them.
And Steve's racing the number 4 hot rod. Sorry, I kind of got mixed up with like a whole bunch of new names, and I think I've seen him twice this weekend, but it's just one of those things that like flagging was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And it wasn't the holding the flags part. It's the trying to micromanage, nitpick what people are doing, and whether it's if you want to message the race director or the main flag guy, be like, hey, this guy is a little too aggressive in the corner. Because like you still understand that like in the corners, if someone checks up for someone getting sideways and someone bumps, it's not really a warnable effect. Like it's warnable, but it's not really warnable because it's incidental contact compared to if someone's trying to move somebody out of the way too aggressively. So it's like a whole new thing. And I didn't really get a pep talk or a don't do this or do this, or I'm like yellow, red. That's all I got.
And at what point do you just at what point is racing anymore? It's almost gotten to the point, as race director, like it's almost got to the point that like he touched me, like, oh my God, right? Like, or whatever, it could be that. I'm not being biased there, but I'm just saying, like, at the same time, like when is racing? Like we used to root each other out of the way, and like if you held on to it, you were awesome. If you lost it, you weren't so awesome. You know what I mean? And now it's like we're constantly calling on the radio, watch your bumper, watch your bumper, watch your bumper. It's because afterwards you go back to this, you go back to the pit area and you get people up to you tick that you didn't warn people about the bumper. And it's like, it's racing. Like, yes, the legends do have a rule, no bumping, into the corner. Coming out of the corner, you can root a little bit. So we've got a little bit of excitement happening there where people can get into the other person and not be an offense kind of thing. But at the same time, like, the whole world's gone crazy.
Yeah, even other drivers, like, you'll bump them on the track and it's just a tiny bump. I'm not naming names, but it's happened to me multiple times this season where I've bumped someone else because he's in my way and he knows that I'm faster, but yet still doesn't give me a lane. And I've bumped him a couple times, and every single time he'll come up to me and he'll be like, "Why do you keep bumping me? Like, that's not real racing. Like, get around me cleanly." And I'm like, if you give me a lane, I won't bump you. But if you're not going to give me a lane and you're going to block me when you're a lap down car and I'm fighting with position, like.
So I was going to say, it's when they're a lap down, like you've got into me.
Yeah, on accident.
I know, because you came over after and said, "I'm so sorry for hitting you."
Yeah,
but if
I was waiting for Jenn to get out of her car. I'm like, "I'm sorry."
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's racing." I said that to you. I'm like, "That's racing. That's what we're here to do." And I don't want to go out there and race my whole 15 laps or 25 laps or 35 laps, whatever we're doing, and not have contact with anybody. Like, I want to race. I want Rubbings racing. That whole motto is true. Do I want to get wrecked? No. Do I want to get spun intentionally? No. Do I want you to come up behind me and go, whack, "Hey, girlfriend, I'm right here"? Yeah, I want you to do that. I want to look up and go, "Oh, frick, it's Jessy," or "It's Kassy." You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. And I'll return the favor and be like, bang, "Hey," right? At the same time, no. I mean, there's no need to be junking as many cars as we are, because a lot of these, I'm not going to say just the young kids, because some of them are older and know better, but there's no reason for the bone stocks to be junking 5 and 6 cars a night. That is just crazy. I just don't get it.
It's kind of like at Peterborough. We had an incident where somebody right-reared somebody down the corner or down the straightaway, and as an official, I got to be over there and kind of stop it from escalating, because this Jenn is a race director. You can't let things escalate. It has to calm down and look presentable for the fans, etc., like that.
And rules are rules.
Yeah,
black and white. That's a rule.
And it's one of those things. It's like, the problem is, I think with bone stock is you have so many different shapes and heights of cars where you can't sometimes say get a Sunfire underneath the back of a certain car, because it will just jack them up and like wreck them around. And some people don't have the experience to, once you get them jacked up, to actually save it, because bone stocks, you get a wide variety of experience. You have guys that know exactly, or guys and gals that know what they're doing, or that you have the ones that have driven the car twice and you get them jacked up and they overcorrect first thing into the wall. So it's another learning curve of knowing who you're racing with and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just, I get it, kind of like warning people how they're hitting, because like if you're not hitting dead square, you're trying to turn them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
totally agree.
So
and we don't have spotters or anything either, and so we're sitting down. Like, I think I'm probably one of the lowest sitting people out there. You can barely see, like, as you can see, like I'm down in here. So you're looking and you're trying to see the best you can, but at the same time, you're limited vision as well, and you hope that everybody's paying attention, but I don't really think they are most nights out there, honestly.
There's multiple people that forget they have mirrors, and then I'll be going in the corner racing them, and then somehow they're in front of me, and I'm like, I was there, but I have it. Well, I'm not gonna.
You got to pick your battles, right? Because if they're going to cut down on you, that doesn't mean that just because you're on the inside and they're going to spin, that doesn't mean you're not going to get involved and sucked into it. So you have to pick your battles, and I'm not going to say.
It's also a fine line, I find, too, of how many times are they going to keep doing that and think that they're going to continue to get away with it, too. So, like, at what point do you just like, okay, well, you keep doing this to me, I'm just going to hold my line because you're not using your mirrors.
Yeah.
You're just going to go on my hood.
Or I'm here, like, and I'm here. I'm clearly here. and
Yeah.
you're still coming down on me. Like last year I went through, I don't know how many rims and tires. Like it was disheartening last year. Like it was every week I was going through a rim and tire, and it was just getting really, starting to tick me off.
Well, and I think that's a kind of where, unfortunately, with NASCAR being a dump and run series and just junk the guy for the win because it means so much, people see that and don't think that, not everyone can afford to replace the car or has the funds for a second car. And like when I first started, if I junked that first car, I was like, I wasn't going to be able to ever race again. Like that's how it was. And it was kind of good at the time because at Peterborough, they still taught I don't know, the respect courtesy of the B pillar. Like if you're not towards that B pillar, you're not quite there yet. Back out, let them come down. Because at that time we could only have one mirror, which was the center one. So you didn't really have the what I call the blocking mirror, which sometimes you get aggressive with, sometimes you don't, depending on how much, like, and that's another thing, is like I don't understand why if you're running like 15th or 16th, why you're blocking the crap out of 17th. Like let them go, both run your race, both run the fast line and catch up. Like if the person's fast enough to pass you, go by them, follow them. Like try to work your way back up there. But
try and learn something from it.
And
I find at Delaware, we have that issue with lapped cars in the future. Because they think that you're back with them and then they're like, okay, well, I'm not letting you by. Where?
Well, yes, but it's the hard part with that, in my opinion, is when you get told to get down, the leaders are coming, then know that the guy that's up, it has jumped up in with those leaders is somebody that's taking a position from you. That's the hard part, because they only tell you that they're coming. Now the 2, 3, 4 leaders are gone. How do you know that 5th guy's coming isn't somebody who's passing you for position? Yeah, that's the tricky part, right? Like, and they can't keep on top of it because now they've moved on. Leaders are coming to that guy. Now they've moved on. The leaders are coming to that guy. And so next thing you know, now somebody's just, you're doing what they've asked you to do, which is stay down because the leaders are coming, and you just got passed by 2 guys that just took 2 positions from you. So I rather they yell at me again. I jump back up into the fast lane and they can yell at me again to get back out of the way if that is another leader. Sorry, Sean, but that's exactly what I do.
But well, another thing is what a lot of people don't understand is, especially like you go to like the Quick series and stuff, where at the last 10 laps you don't get a lucky dog if caution comes out, right? And in those races, it's important to stay on the lead lap. Like it's so. I still have always had to maintain, if you are on the tail end of the lead lap, yes, you have to give the leader a lane like you would anyone else, but you can fight them to stay on the lead lap. It's the same thing in NASCAR. You see guys fighting to stay on the lead lap. Like, don't sit there and drive them to their door or block the crap out of them, but you have to give them a lane and you can fight them. Race them like as respectfully. Once you go a lap down or multiple laps down, then just kind of let them go and take off, and it's not your night. But like, if you catch a caution, because I don't know if many tracks have like a lucky dog rule in their normal divisions and stuff like that, but if you get caught a lap down and the caution comes out after you get lapped, your race is over. Like, yeah, you still get a race with like the people that are on your lap, but if you're the first car lap down, now you only have places to lose and nothing to gain. So
I think we should probably move on to, just looking at the time, we should move on to some of our questions.
We definitely should. I was about to bring that up and then sidetracked like 600 times.
Fine. That's why I'm your co-host. I just keep you on track there.
Yeah, see, you're the adult. You're adult.
That's my age showing. So Jennifer Hatch wrote, "What is both of your favorite moments so far in your racing career?"
You go first. I think my favorite was winning my first ever heat race. It was so monumental because everyone was so happy for me and I was working so hard for it. And then my dad and I recreated a photo from back when he won his first heat race in his truck. It's special.
That's awesome.
I have a couple, like my first heat win, I think it was last week, is very memorable, especially like since you work so hard for it and then it finally happens. And then I think last year we went out for a Monday night practice with Chris, and Chris was like, I'm determined to get you down to, I think it was 24 twos or something in my automatic. And I was like, it's not going to happen, but fine, let's go. And then end of the night, I think I ran 1:24.1 and then a solid 24 twos like consecutively. So that was a feel good moment. And then this year I'm running that right now. I know I can get faster, but I'm still working on it. So I feel like as I get faster and start competing top 15, top 10, I'm going to be proud of myself. So until then,
you should already be pretty proud of yourself. You girls are doing really well and staying consistent every week, and then watching you pick up your first heat win, that was pretty cool to see.
All right, so I've only got one question on my side because apparently people don't like my Facebook wall as much as they do the podcast side. I think they've just seen Jen comment and wanted it all to be on Jen's side. So I got from Andy Bria.
Rhea.
All right. Which one of the sisters is more competitive and why?
I think we should let Jen answer this.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna say Jessy's more competitive only because she literally has rear-ended me a few times. and now me and Kassy have probably waved at each other more times, but me and Jessy have actually had contact with me more times.
I used to be like Jessy, and then I hit the turn 4 tire, which wasn't fun.
Actually, racing that night when that happened. I was racing that night when that happened, and actually, I think you were just coming back down when I came around, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna hurt."
Yeah, I feel like it's also a little bit me because whenever I'm on the racetrack with Kassy and she's in front of me, my goal is I don't care where you finish, Jess, just get ahead of your sister. And then she overdrives the corner and spins herself out. Yeah.
There's no competition there at all.
None. This is why Friday's gonna be entertaining.
Yes. Yeah. So next question is from somebody who I saw on the weekend and gave him a big hug and said winner winner chicken dinner. So Wally, who's your favorite teammate? Shocking question.
I don't know. I don't know. No, Wally's pretty good. I'm proud to see him doing better in my automatic from last year. Since I only made it a couple times, it was really good to see him make the feature last Friday and beat my sister in her standards. So that was I'm really proud of how he's doing, and I'm really proud of him in his modified too. So he's a good teammate. He's okay, I guess.
Yeah, I watch all your chatter and stuff, and Wally's just one of those good guys, that's for sure.
So before you go into that, Jessy, is it all the training you've helped with Wally? You know, helping him out, teaching him how to drive your car that you think made him win that mod race?
I don't know. He came up to me in the last race at the track, and he's raced the car 3 times before that. I think it was his 3rd race, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Wait, am I allowed to use the bumper?" And I'm like, "Wally, yeah, you can use the bumper. Like, it's there for a reason." He's like, "So I can move people," and I'm like, "Yeah, go move people if you need to." So he comes back in, heat race, made it into the feature. We look at the bumper. There's like light blue, there's red, there's yellow, and I'm like, "Wally, how many times did you use the bumper?" And he's like, "They were in my way and they were going slow."
So go around them, Wally. Go around them.
Yeah.
But anyway, but to lead to green to checker, that's awesome for Wally, and a huge shout out to Wally for his big feature win. That was awesome. Nicole Gibbons, where did you get your crew chief from? I don't understand that question. So where did you get your crew chief? Like Etsy, Wayfair? I don't understand the question.
So our crew chief? I'll talk about last year when it actually started, and Kassy can talk more in depth of what this year was for experience with that. Last year, our crew chief is actually Nicole Gibbons. So which is why she asked.
That makes sense.
So last year, nobody around like us was like used to me making the feature because I barely made it. So nobody was like ever thought about putting gas in my car. And Nicole comes up and she's like, "Hey, got gas in your car? Like you go out for the feature after the V8s." And I'm like, "Oh, right." And she just walks over, grabs the gas, comes over, puts gas in my car, and then she was always there to like hype us up and like, "You're gonna go win," even if we didn't. And then she's always there. And then this year she's she's come out and helped us, and she's like, okay, so like you're gonna let off later, and you're gonna like get in the throttle more, and here's a gas can, go put gas in your car.
So the letting off later, that's interesting. Because did you guys watch the podcast from last week? Oh yeah, clearly you did because of the whole
Yeah.
lesbian. Anyways, okay, so the letting off later thing. So she had come to race at Delaware, and we were there with the super stock and not the bone stock, obviously, but the super stocks, I think. And anyways, and so I was watching her, and there was red flag. So she was sitting right out of turn 3. So I got up on the grass and I yelled at her and I said, Nicole, can you hear me? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, when you're entering this corner, count to 3 from when you want to put the brake on to when you put the brake on. She's like, okay. So she goes out and she said, I was going to put the brake on. And I said, 1, 2, 3. And then I hit the brake, and she was actually sailing it in a little bit farther. So for her to then turn around and tell you to send it in farther, that's pretty funny.
And then she told Kassy to do it in practice when nobody's around her. She told me to just go out and do it. So I'm in the feature just going for it. And then she comes in after and she's like, so I forgot to add on the part to do it in practice when you're not with anyone, but good job.
You did. Yeah, you did good. Sean Morissette, where did you, most exciting racing moment? I think we kind of covered that a little bit. And what made you want to start racing?
I've wanted to race ever since I was able to go watch my dad race in the truck division. So I was like 3 or 4 since I've ever wanted to race, and now I'm 24, turning 25. So,
Perfect.
yeah, mine was also my dad, and then I also just wanted to get more girls involved in the sport and show all the guys that we can do it too, and we can pass them and we can beat them, and we're better. So
We're better.
I feel like that's
Sometimes.
directed at me. It's a good thing I don't race at Delaware, where you guys all kick my butt in the friggin' bone stock.
Yeah, I mean, being a girl in racing is fun and cool, and something that your kids are gonna, look back on and be like, oh my god, my mom was a race car driver, and for like myself, like with having 3 kids and now having Zach racing, that's cool. And like we were out working on something one night, like we're out in the shop all the time together really late, and he was like, this is kind of odd. And I'm like, why? And he's like, most guys are out in the shop with their dad, and I just spent all my time with my mom on her race car. I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool though, Zach. And he's like, yeah, it is. Like, this is a bit weird, but I think that it's a bit of a gives some hope to some other girls like Nicole. We talked about it last week. Like, her racing career doesn't have to be over because she has kids. I raced 31 years all the way through having little kids. And sometimes it meant a babysitter at home, and sometimes it meant all 3 kids at the track with a babysitter. And you just do what you got to do if you want to go racing.
Do you have any more fan questions there, Jen? Because
That was it. That was all.
Okay, so I want to add one from last week, because we kind of started doing this list, or you started trying to write down a list. What is their go-to pump up song before we're getting in the car?
Yes, this is something we're going to put together, a jam, a playlist.
I don't listen to music before I get in the car, but like one of my favorite songs, I guess, is "Party in the USA" by Miley Cyrus. That always gets me going.
That's a good tune.
We have a car jams playlist that we put on every single time we go driving together. So we always play that one, and we always play "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain.
Yeah.
If you want to know a funny story about that song, actually, Racing Banquet 2022, where all year we called Phil Princess. We're like, okay, Princess. Okay, Princess. And then we got to the banquet. They did the whole thing, and then we went to the dance floor with Phil. And we're just standing there, and then "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" comes on. And he stands there, and with a straight face, he sings the chorus. And stares at all of us. And we all looked at him and we're like, okay, Princess.
He's always good for a good time.
Yeah.
Shenanigans are always ready to be had.
Mm-hmm.
But so Jen, did you figure out a song that you're gonna listen to like from last week? Did you hear the one I sent to you? You didn't even listen to it.
I don't listen to music. I'm sorry. It's just not my jam.
You literally said last week on the podcast, if we sent it to you, you'd listen to it, you'd have Zach put it on, and she lied to us.
Okay, honestly, I've seen Zach. Like, I obviously I saw him this weekend because we were racing, but like not to the point that we were like just sitting around going, "Hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to listen to some music?" Like, I don't have time for that. But how did you send it to me? I didn't see you even send it to me.
I believe I sent it to you on Snap and on Facebook.
Yes, you. Yep. Like, okay, I promise by this time next week, I promise you I will listen to it.
She'll be too busy working on camera angles on the new location.
Yes.
You
So
should-
last week he said, so you should do your 4 weeks with me in different locations. And he said you should do one in Big Booty Judy. So hence this location. Now next week I'll do it in a different location. Not to be disclosed as of right this second.
Brandon, send me the song and I'll walk up to her with it playing on Friday.
Okay.
Just hand her an earbud. Listen to this and let's go.
Just
So
listen.
we talked about it on last week's episode. The one I sent to her was left turn or something like that. I don't remember what his name is, so I'll send it to you, but I think I got you on Facebook, so I'll send it there. I just have to listen to it on Spotify so I can actually remember that to send it to you. And then what was Nicole's? Was it Baby by Justin Bieber?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
So
Yeah.
irony, I'm on the way to Sunset with a friend, and all of a sudden my phone hits smart shuffle because I was listening to us do the podcast last week and talk about it, and pulls up Baby by Justin Bieber as like we're going through like Newmarket, Innisfil. And my friend's like, how do you know all the words to this? I'm like, I know way too many words to way too many songs. I can remember stupid things like lyrics to songs. Can I remember where I put my 10 mil down? Not a clue.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you guys a few moments to thank your sponsors. And then you can also list where people can find the beautiful Howard Sisters Racing merchandise.
So I'll start with the merchandise. You can get it through either me or Jessy at the track or on our Facebook pages, or through KPH Motorsports on Facebook and Instagram. And you have the sponsors. Our sponsors are Corbell Renovation Company, Jerry's Truck Center Limited, Hully Gully, KPH Motorsports, Kaniski Manufacturing, Mount Bridges Bulldogs, Dana's Desserts, Ladies of the Oval, and then the Stickers and Scuff podcast with Cam K and Grain Bun, and then Bert's Repair and Towing. And then I feel like we also want to shout out our parents for always being there throughout, I guess, the 8 years that she's been racing and the 2 that I've been racing. And then the rest of our family for cheering us on and watching on Rogers every week. The rest of our family, we have an aunt over in New Brunswick that's watching all the time. And then also Wally and Sierra for being there and supporting, coming over, working on cars with us, and then Steve McCaw and Dana also, because they've helped out a lot behind the scenes. So, and Phil and Nicole for coming down and helping us, along with Brady.
And for me being such a great neighbor.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, when it rains, they stand in my trailer. It's true.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Auntie Jen provides shelter.
And then I did even offer up my cooler.
And she's got snacks.
That's right. I am the snack for being diabetic. I am the snack girl.
And drinks, not alcoholic drinks.
Thank you for suggesting that, because then Dad would not let you come to Autumn Colors with me.
Well, one of them would be okay. The other one would be like, what did you do? Hey, it just means that we have someone to be a designated driver.
Yes,
Right.
drove for the first time today alone, so.
Oh, so you'll be plenty ready by colors.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
She came to pick me up because we were putting my engine back together.
Fun.
And then she texted me and she's like, yeah, you should probably come pick me up now because we still have to stop and get something to eat. And I'm like, probably a good idea.
So another question I'll ask you before I close. is it weird that you drove on the racetrack first? Like, did you like have to like kind of make sure you don't do any like racetrack tendencies on the road because you learned how to do that first?
Um, no, in a sense. I get mad when people go slow in front of me, but that's pretty much it.
I think we all do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm an alligator because I get zoned out, not listening to music. I just zone out, and then you kind of come to and you're like, oh crap, sorry, dude. I'm like right up his butt, right? And I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Or you're getting a speeding ticket going to see Phil Gibbons race.
That did happen, yes. That happened, yes. But I was gonna say too, like it was funny because when Zach went to get his license, he took my car and my license plate says Lady Racer that my kids gave me for Mother's Day 20 years ago. And so the lady comes out with her clipboard or whatever, they have to do the walk around of the car before they get in to go do the driving test. And she's like, why does this car say Lady Racer? He's like, oh, my mom's a race car driver. She goes, this should be interesting. She gets in, shuts the door. She's like, let's go. Zach's like, I can pass right away. She was like, this should be fun.
Yeah. When I went for my G2, she looked at me and she goes, so what you do on the weekend? And I'm like, oh, I just raced. And she's like, cars? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, okay, let's go.
And she double clicks the seatbelt.
Yep.
Make sure it's locked in.
So that's when that meme I see like pop up on like Facebook and stuff like that, where it's like the cartoon guy going like this and like the sideways one.
And like duct tape. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thank you girls for joining me. We had a great time tonight. And we hope to see one or both of you in this weekend. Because remember, even if you are in the same heat, one of you could still take the feature.
Oh gosh. That's tough.
You could still got a chance.
I'm lucky to get 19.
If I crash let's face it, if I crash the 15 cars ahead of us, maybe then we can get to the feature win. Hey. It's tough. Like it's tough, man.
Hey, there's always a chance. Like you get the right break, and sometimes you get out the lead, you get motivated, you stop looking at the mirrors, and you just go. You put the fastest times down that you've ever put down. You never know.
Rabideau laps us like 4 times in the feature. Like that's how fast that car. That is ridiculous. Yeah. Well, like I don't even know how that's even. Anyways, the girls know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Luckily, I only got put down 2 laps last week. I got down 1 lap. 1 lap because it ran green.
I'm exaggerating, but at the same time, like that's how fast.
Last year when I made the feature, I was down 6 laps. Oh, it was so bad.
Don't worry, the quick race, I was down like 4 laps by the end of it. And like I was only in qualifying like 3/10 off. Like I had qualified Glenn Stiers in the quick race. Guy has more experience than anything who's in a Lapsvich car, and I'm like, all right, I'm not that far off. I qualified Glenn. Start racing? No, they changed a lot of things, and that car was a lot faster.
It pays to have some good people behind you for sure.
The funny thing is, the only person I brought with me was the girlfriend at the time, and she knows a lot about body work, and she runs like she's like a higher up in the one of the body shops, does like managing a bunch of shops and stuff like that for, I won't mention the company, but like world, like Ontario wide. So she is basically runs and micromanages all the like, how many rivets did you put in this thing? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like she is OCD perfectionist, make sure all these cars are perfect. And I got in that like early race incident where we had a big checkup because they decided to wreck coming to the start. And I locked the brakes, so I knocked the nose off. So she wanted the car to be perfect. I'm like, we don't have time for perfect. I need duct tape. I need zip ties. I'm not allowed to get out of the car by the rules. So she goes, and you could see it was bugging her, just taping the panel on. Well, we get home later that night. I don't even think we were home half an hour. She's got the bumper off, like putting the bumper all back on. She said she hated the race car, but she worked on it more than I did.
I'm that way too. I have to touch up the paint every week and touch up my stickers. And
so anyway, we wish you guys a good night. I assume you guys aren't going to go finish that motor tonight. Well, you might, but you guys are young and still have energy. So
we'll probably text our dad and see how it's going.
Did you guys leave him there so you could come do the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he has Cassie's Jeep, so he can get home. So
Yeah.
That's hilarious though. Okay, we're just gonna check out. We're gonna just go do some social media stuff and let us know how that motor goes.
yeah.
So there,
Well
this,
done. Well played.
the text is gonna be, does it start yet? Should we come down?
Yeah.
That's awesome, girls. Loved having you on. I'll see you on Friday. We'll have some waters together, and I'll come stand on your trailer and think about how sketchy it actually is.